Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Friday. It's October the 18th. This will be our chart lesson today. It's Friday. It's only about lunchtime, but I'm going to wrap this thing up and get out of here early today. Start my weekend. It's crazy around here in Oxford. It's LSU weekend. There's a big ball game here this weekend, and um, the Tigers are coming to town, and it's always crazy when they're around. It's crazy anyway when there's a ball game here, but suddenly my small town here goes from 20, probably around 40,000 counting the students, to suddenly there's 60,000 more people in town for the game, and it's crazy around here. So I'm going to wrap it up, start my weekend early, and get out of here. But let's talk about the trades. There's a clear channel working up here today. Started out looking kind of rangy today, but it's just a continuation of the trend from yesterday, and you can kind of see here's the close of yesterday coming up, and we're just working, we're just continuing to work higher. This channel could be on down here. I originally saw it right across there, and you can see it came back into play as we got back inside it there. So this could be a break. You just have to kind of wait and see where we go from here. But you got a clear channel working up. We did have a break there. Now we got a new high. My guess is we'll probably hit this high side and work lower again. But I'll show you what I saw earlier this morning. The first opportunity I really saw to take a trade was right here, and I almost marked this one in green, but I really like this. I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't have, it's at least noticed the range right here. That was easy to see. You move up, you get your first entry here. It's not really a first entry because it never broke higher, but you still get a double top and a second entry type entry right here. It is the second entry if you count off the lows. New low here, first entry, pull back, second entry. But that double top and the fact that all those stems, I like that. It's a failed break out of this channel. So it's a second entry long on a failed break higher. There is a lot of overlap there, but remember what we talked about yesterday? That's because they're finding a lot of sales there and a lot of resistance, so the market can't go higher. So that's a good indication it could reverse. Especially if you get a trap, and it failed out the top side twice. So I like that one. It is a little more aggressive maybe, but you got plenty of room to get back to the EMA, which is where you got to figure prices are probably going. And that's when we went right on through that EMA. You actually got a failed second entry long. If you count that as a new high, you got a first entry pullback, a second entry. But this is where you're going to see a trap. People trying to buy the bounce off the EMA that don't understand price structure and price action. That most breakouts fail, and they go long right there, taking a risk, and they get trapped. That's a great short trap. You go short right there. Easy trade, easy move down. This is the one I wasn't quite sure. Originally I had it drawn down here off that close, and that might still be it. Was just yet to see. It seems to fit better right across there because then you catch that low. You catch, you can see it causing, acting as resistance underneath, and then it gets back above and acts as support. So I'm guessing that's probably it, or at least a median line. This late this afternoon we might make a measured move down and find out that we've got another line down here. But for now, you got to trade out. You got to take this as for what you got here. But you didn't have this quite yet. It wasn't as clear. It's obvious you had a trend line or a trend channel line off these highs, because this is what you would have seen. But there's not clear that this is, correct here. I was really looking for it to come down here. And I guess I should have figured, since we bounced there and made a new high, that you got to drag this up. And then when you do, it still doesn't quite catch it until you get to right here. And that's probably, I'm still thinking there's a good chance that's correct because it catches those closes right there. And then, but either way, you got the bounce there, and it is this bar is not a perfect bullish bar, but I definitely wouldn't have gone long above that bar. But when this one closed here and it broke, if it broke higher there, you'd probably want to risk a limit order right there, which was worth risking. and you see we went right back up. And of course, where does it find resistance? The same place up here. We broke above it a little bit, and then of course when you come down, you break below it as well. You get overshot of the top and overshot of the bottom, and that's kind of what you expect. And again, I still wasn't sure where this should be, but I'm thinking it's right across there, especially since we bounced there on the way down. This one was a little aggressive too, because you're right back up at the highs. And so, but it is a second entry. It is a bounce off the EMA. There is enough room, to maybe get out there, especially if you retest those highs. And so, I thought it was worth taking the long, but it is aggressive. And it could have easily come up here and tested these highs and failed. And then I didn't see anything I liked up here because we kept making higher highs and higher lows. You definitely don't want to go long or short in here. It's just too risky without some kind of trap, and there's no good trap. The only trap was out the high side, but then we couldn't break lower. Notice that we had all those, so there's a good chance it could snap down here and trap everybody short and go higher. So I felt it was better to wait on the second entry, which came right here, and then this is kind of a breakout pullback short, but I just don't like that either. But when we bounced off that again and started going lower, and then we had these matching lows right here, it's kind of like a breakout pullback short across that. And if you put that line there, you can see all those lows. So I like that one. And by that time, it was a lot clearer that we were probably headed back to the other side, and so I like going short there. And you don't expect to get that big a move. You expect that it's probably going to bounce here, but guess what? It goes all the way back down and tests this low again, and you get a little reversal type bar, but it's an inside bar to this one. There's been no real break of that trend channel, so you're really risking a lot going long right there. Let me draw this line so you can see the rest of this. I just thought it was too risky to go long right there, but there is an overshoot, and you know what normally happens on an overshoot? You're going to, it usually leads to a reversal. Plus, it's a double bottom. It's higher than the previous double bottom here. There's obviously a channel. It's the first break of this channel, first possible break. So there's some reasons to be aggressive there and buy that. I think it was better to wait until you got the break above right here, and then notice how it pulled back and tested, and then it turned up. So right there, and you can see that just continued to work higher from there. So I like that entry better for those reasons. Here you had a failed second entry short. Notice you've got a new low here. There's no break lower till right here. It goes higher, and then it turns down, and it gives you a second entry short off this new low, and then guess what? It reverses right there. So it's a failed second entry short. You can see this channel coming into play, this channel line right here. The odds are we're probably going to the high side. It was a lot slower. It didn't go up as steep, but that's where you think we're probably heading, and guess what? That's where it's going, and it's still heading that direction. Could be that this is right across those closes right there. We're still not quite there, even if that's the case. But since we got these closes up here, I'm guessing it's probably like that right there. That'd be my guess. And that leaves you a little room there. But anyway, and then it's just so choppy up through here. Then you finally come back, and so you're waiting on it to come back to the trend line. And it doesn't come back till right here. But guess what? It also bounces. It breaks below this channel, this little short-term channel going up. You can see that. But guess what catches it? That line right there. And that's a nice bullish bar, and then it pulls back. This is the same kind of a little repeat pattern as this bigger channel. Let me show you this. You got this little channel coming down. It breaks out. It pulls back, tests it, and then it goes higher. So that's similar to a second entry long. If you went to a smaller chart, you'd probably see a second entry there, and off it goes again. And so, and we're still moving higher. And that was pretty much the last trade I saw that I would be willing to take. You don't want to go long right here, even though it worked, because this is, guess what happens when you enter on above resistance at highs? A lot of times you get burned, and you didn't get any more pullback. So I just didn't like going long there. See if you would have gotten out or not. I don't even know. Most of this has been 36 and a quarter, and you got just enough to scalp out of that, and it's trying to pull back now before it got. But if you were playing this channel and the idea that we're probably going up here, you know, it's probably worth considering that trade. But I'm not even going to mark it green because I wouldn't have taken that trade, not right going into the lunch hour there. It's just too risky. There's too big a chance it's going to turn down right there. Or at least, even if it's going to go higher, there's too big a chance it could run your stops and run way down here, back down here before going higher. So, plus you did have the break here and you had a couple of legs up to a new high. So it wouldn't have surprised me at all if that turned and went straight back down here again. And this just turns out to be a range day. In the end, but this channel is obviously valid. It's still going. We may have had a break, and if you're looking for a measured move as well, let's look at that. There's your first leg, then there's your correction. So guess where your measured leg takes you? We're about one tick shy of that at this point, but I'm still guessing that we may get up here and retest this if we can. But now we've had a possible break and a new high, so it wouldn't surprise me if we don't get back in this range and come back down here to the lows or even sell off from there. I mean, this has been a huge move up. If you back way out here, you can see from yesterday's lows, you know, down here at 1706, I mean, we're almost 40 points higher today. I mean, that's a huge move, and it's been a nice one. So hopefully you participated and got some of it today. A little tricky if you didn't see the channel, but if you back way out, you can see that channel. It looks pretty valid to me. It looks rather valid, and we broke and then got back in it, and we're trying to head to the upper side. So that's pretty typical. You could have played the range rules here. You know, normally you may not even consider trading this move on the way down, but this was still more like a trading range as well. It does have an upward bias. So I really, you know, hesitated not to make that one green as well because it is a little more aggressive. But you can see we made let me back out here and just talk about that one a little more. Notice that we had a failed break higher, then we come down, we make a little lower low, a lower high, we're headed down, and then we find a little, you know, you got this channel working here, and you can see that. So another chance, and you got to figure you're coming down here. So I felt like that one was, I mean, that looks more rangy than trendy at this point, and you can see that prices are on both sides of the EMA, and now we're all back above it again, though, so you got to be careful. But that's what I saw today. I'm going to wrap it up. It's only about 15 minutes worth, but it's pretty clear cut today. I know probably some people will have a harder time with this when prices are swinging to both sides of the EMA like that. A lot of people struggle to trade it. You know, but to me, on most cases, these days are more predictable. If you can get a clear, strong support and a clear, strong resistance, they're generally more predictable. But you just have to, you know, you have to learn how to trade what the day is giving you, and that's what most people struggle with. And I talked to somebody about that yesterday. They were talking about, man, I wish we could have a trend like that every day. And you'll get periods where you may have several days like that in a row, or several days down just like that in a row. But most of the time, this is your normal price action. So you got to learn how to trade this just as much as you got to learn to trade this. But what'll happen is you'll get to seeing this every day, and you'll get used to it, and you'll get that frame of mind for trading, and then you'll see a day like this, and you'll just sit there and miss out and try to sell every high, and but you got to be able to recognize that it's changed and switch with it, and then it may do this every day for a week or two, and people get used to that, and then it'll switch back to this, and this will completely throw everybody off. They'll be buying every high, every pullback to the EMA, and then they fail. And so what you got to be able to do is trade long enough to be able to see everything the market can throw at you and be able to recognize it. And it takes a long time to do that. But this is a more common type day than this over here. We love these kind of days, but you'd be surprised how many people will lose money on a day like that right there because they're thinking like this right here, which is what you'll see more often than a day like that. And so I hope that makes sense to you, but I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you have a great weekend. Hope you made money this week. We'll be back to do it again next week. It's been a really good trading week this week, and we'll come back and start it all over again next week. But I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.